Hey, Shalom Markins, Vikar Makapash from GMS London, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Chachadash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful elect, pushing this truth in all sincerity. Back again with another video, and I'm going to entitle this one, Esau is an abuser of mankind or humanity, or something to that effect, right? Because, in the scriptures, we're told that, we to use this world, right? Because this world is for us, right? So we do what we can to get by in this world, right? It's there for us to use, right? But there's a line. There's a line that you're not supposed to cross, right? And once you overuse something, it turns into abuse, right? When you overdo something, when you use it for the wrong things, it's abuse, right? And that's what Esau does in this world, right? He is not a balanced individual. He is not an upright person, right? So when given opportunity, he will abuse things, abuse people, abuse everything, all of the resources on the earth. He will abuse everything, man, until it's destroyed. All right, and that's why the world is in the state that it's in right now, under the rulership of Esau. All right, and so I'm going to open up with this scripture here, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 31. So, and they that use this world as not abusing it, right? So yeah, the world is here to be used, and we benefit off each other. We do trade, and there's an ecosystem, a harmony that is supposed to be uh, built up, right, for everyone to live on the same planet together, right? But Esau, he just he just like, nah, F all that, man. I'm just gonna abuse people. I'm gonna exploit people. He's gonna do all that till everybody's grounded in the dirt, and so I'm the only one left standing with all the riches, with all the wealth, with all the power. That's what Esau does. All right. So again, they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. Right. We know this place is going to come to an end because of the rulership of the wicked. Right. And the Lord's going to replace Esau. Right. And his kingdom with Yahweh Shai and his kingdom, which is an everlasting righteous kingdom. Right. So we're going to learn this balance once more. Right. Or these nations are going to be taught this balance. Right. To bring everything into balance. Right. So let's get to the next scripture. All right, so Psalm 73 verse 12 says, behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches, right? Because they're abusing everything, right? They're exploiting people and abusing people, right? And this goes on many different types of levels of abuse, because Esau literally abuses it in every instance. All right, as we know, we got to check out the Epstein files. And you see that he's just a guy of excess and do as thou wilt. All right, because that's their mind, that's their mentality. That's their mentality, man. They don't care about other people. Okay, they only care about satisfying their lusts, right? So let me read this from Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. So for the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy, neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath in our nostrils is a smoke, and a little spark in the movement of our heart, which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. And our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed that no man cometh again. Right? So they're basically saying life is short. Right? And so they got one life to live, right? This is where we get this the whole YOLO, you only live once saying, right? For the carnal man, that's what it looks. That's what it looks like. You got a certain amount of time on this earth. If you're lucky, you get 80 years or whatever, right? And then you're gone, right? And there's so much things that people want to do. There's not enough time, right? So people are in a rush to do things these days. They want to live this fast life because life in their eyes is short, not knowing that life never really ends, right? The body, the body dies, but life never really ends, because what we are is spirits in bodies. That's what we are, right? And our spirit never dies. It just gets translated into different forms, right? Into different bodies, right? When we move between the earth and the spirit world, right? So we never really die. So we're always really alive, right? But the carnal man doesn't understand these things, and neither did the wicked that is reasoning here. All right. So verse 6 goes on to say, it says, "Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures as in youth," right? So they like to use people, i.e. abuse them, right? Use them, use everything. Just everything just without care. Just want to get things, get things, what's the one? I'm trying to phrase the word. Trying to get things out of, shit. So there's a way I want to kind of frame it, man. But they just want to extract as much as they can as quick as possible out of everything. Right? That's what I'm trying to say, right? So let us speedily use the creatures as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ornaments, and let no flower of the spring pass by us. Right? So enjoy all the things, right? Because the scriptures do say that these Edomites are going to give him the fat of the earth, right, at some point. And this is your time. All right, you're in this position now, and so you can enjoy the fats of the earth, right? You've been put in this position, right? You've become the king of the world, the ruler over the earth, right? And these are not just like empty titles. A king is supposed to be a manager of the earth, right? To manage the world correctly, to bring balance and bring justice and all these types of things. But Esau doesn't really care about all of that. He just wants to have control, right? And rig everything in his favor. He's not here about balance. He doesn't care about what's happening to you on the ground, how you're surviving or what. He doesn't really care about all of that, right? It's about himself and what he can get out of it. Okay? Which is a crooked mindset, right? It says, let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass by us. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion, and our lot is this, right? Let us oppress the poor righteous man, right? This is abuse now, right? They want to oppress the poor righteous man. Why the hell do you want to oppress the poor? Why do you want to oppress the righteous? It's because you're twisted. You get kicks out of oppression, of abuse, right? That's why when you see, all these lands that Esau gone and destroyed, right? Let's take the continent of Africa, for instance, right? All these nations that are, that the French conquered or whatever, and they got these deals, these oil deals and whatever, right? They're some shitty ass deals, man, right? But they make it seem like they're giving back to them. They're not they're not being oppressed no more. They're getting deals, with Esau's nations or whatever, and they make it seem like it's some fair deal. It ain't a fair deal. That's why Africa can't really build itself up like that. Because otherwise they would be fucking rich. They got all the resources, man. Europe's got nothing. Europe actually has nothing, and yet Europe is built up. Right? Africa is so far behind. That's why they call it the third world, right? They're so far behind. It's not that they're not building. It's not that they ain't got technology and that stuff over there, but they're just so far fucking behind. Right? Because the money's not staying in Africa, right? It's going out to Europe, to France, and these other colonizers, man. Right? It is not fair. They are simply abused the fact that they got power over them because they got the military, they got this and that and whatever. Right? Because they've positioned themselves in such a way that they can't do nothing about it. Right? And so they kept handicapped. Okay, they kept in oppression. Right? And it's the same for every other nation these Edomites have gone to and taken over or taking resources from these areas and struck these shitty deals. Then none of them are getting the fair shake. You buy a fucking bar of chocolate, fair trade, fair cocoa, all this shit. Man, they're not getting paid. They're not getting paid. Esau's getting paid mega of all of that production. Mega. Right? That's why you have these fucking multi-billion, billion corporations every fucking where. Coca-Cola, Cadbury's, whatever, right? And these men that are working for them are earning nothing, pretty much. Struggling to get by in their own country. And when you convert their money and shit, man, it's like, what the fuck are they really paying them? Nothing. So Esau is always exploiting these weaker nations, always. And they're just exploiting people in general. Right? But obviously, the poorer you are, the more downtrodden you are, man, the easier it is to exploit somebody. If people got money, it's harder to break a man down and say that you're going to do this for me, you're going to work in my factory. If you don't fucking need your money, you ain't going to work in your shit little factory for peanuts. Right? So it's in Esau's interest to keep the rest of the world or rest of these nations down. That's what he does. And if you try to come up, he's going to do something about that. He's going to try and do something about that. Make up some reason why, it ain't legit, you're a terrorist nation or whatever he needs to do to make it so that he has a fucking monopoly in world power. That's what he's going to do, pretty much, right? So back to this anyway. Right, it says, let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us spare the widow let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient grey hairs of the age. Got no respect for nobody, basically. Let's not respect any of that, right? Let our strength be the law of justice. Might is right. And that's something you're going to hear in America, right, with the military. Might is right. Right? Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble, that is weak, weaker than us or ourselves, right, is found to be nothing worth, have no value. They don't care who's beneath them. If you're not on their level, you're not part of the game. What they say, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. That's how they look at it. If you're not up here with us, man, you're prey. Right? So this is this line of using, we could do trade and, I might say my thing's more valuable and this and that, so I'm going to take a slightly bigger cut or whatever because I'm providing this and providing that. Yeah, fair enough, innit? Cool. But, like, Esau doesn't do that. Esau's doing, like, I'm taking a 99% cut. Hey, I'm taking 99.5% cut and you're going to get 0.5. When it's just like, what? He can't do nothing from the 0.5, but he's going to offer you that anyway, and you better like it. Otherwise, I'm gonna do something to you. It says therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn. And this is why we got a problem with you, man. Right? He's not for our turn, and he's clean contrary to our doings, because you don't live righteously. He upbraided us with our offending the law, and objective to our infamy, the transgressions of our education. He professes to have the knowledge of the Most High, and he called himself the child of the Lord. He was made to reprove our thoughts, right? That's what we were made to do, to rebuke the wicked, right? He is grievous unto us even to behold, for his life is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion. We are esteemed of him as counterfeits. He is abstaining from our ways as from filthiness, because you follow the ways of wickedness, right? He pronounces the end of the just to be blessed, and maketh his boast that God is his father. Right? It says, let us see if his words be true, and let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. For if the just man be the Son of God, he will help him and deliver him from the hands of his enemies. Let us examine him with despitefulness. These men are just cruel by nature. Right? So let us examine it and with despitefulness. It's like Esau these backhanded fucking experiments and shit to see if it causes issues in a person. Like Tuskegee, the Tuskegee things. Like, he wants to see if it, like, I'm gonna treat them as bad as I can to see if the Lord actually does turn up to save them. You know what I mean? He's just fucked up in the head. Esau's just fucked up in the head, man. You talk white people just fucked up in the head. Right? You're just wicked, right? So let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, right? That we may know his meekness and prove his patience. Let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. Right? So they're going to just do all these nasty, wicked things to us just to see if Most High will show up and save them. Because if he doesn't save them, bro, it's like, we run the show. And that's how he feels right now, because no one stepped in. The Most High hasn't stepped in to condemn him yet, to judge him yet. And so he feels boasted in his heart that no one's going to take him out of his power. Right? Because it was scripture say, was it judgment not execute speedily? Let me quickly grab that. Daniel. Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11. So because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully setting them to do evil. Right, so that's their mentality right now, because they've been getting away with it so long, and the Most High hasn't come to deliver us from His hands yet. All right, so they're just fully on doing wicked and evil, doing what they want to do to their heart's desire. You know, it says, I read that bit already. Verse 21, just to round it off here in this chapter. Such things did they imagine and were deceived, for their own wickedness have blinded them. Right? As for the mysteries of God, they knew them not, neither hoped they for the wages of righteousness, nor discerned a reward for blameless souls. Okay? So that's their mentality. And this is how they treat people. That's how the elites, they, because they said they're on top right now. They're prospering from the world, from all the wickedness and evil that they're doing via abuse. Right? Quickly check this. Yeah, Psalm 52 said, Lord, this is the man that made not God his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches and strengthened himself in wickedness. Right? That's these Edomites, man. These so-called white people. Right? That's how they've gone and ran the world. All right. So the meat of the lesson is really from here that I wanted to read. So I'm going to read the most of this. Right? This is from Sirach chapter 13, verse 1. Right? It says, "He that toucheth pitch shall be defiled therewith, and he that hath fellowship with a proud man shall be like unto him." Right? Destroyed. Right? And Esau had the proud. Right? And he's going to be destroyed. Burn not thyself above thy power while thou livest, and have no fellowship with one that is mightier than and richer than thyself. For how agree the kettle and the earthen pot together? For if the one be smitten against the other, it shall be broken. The rich man hath done wrong, and yet he threatened withal. The poor is wronged, and he must entreat also. Right? Because the rich, they have like a special status because of their wealth and power. So they don't have to go through things and have to be held accountable for certain things, or they can get around shit. The poor, if he does wrong, he's screwed, right? Because he ain't got no other way to get around it or get out of it. We see these demons on TV. The rich get exonerated from shit. Mark Rich, in his name, Rich, right? He got exonerated. He got the presidential pardon for the whole fucking tax. What do they call that, man? Tax evasion. Because they got many friends and shit. You know what I mean? In those higher, powerful places, right? So they experience a different kind of life on this planet compared to the poor, right? But here's the points of it, right? Verse 4: If thou be for his profit, he will use thee, right? The rich, i.e., the elites of this world, i.e., these Edomites at the top, right? And even these lower Edomites, man, they do the same fucking thing on a lower level, right? They use and abuse people, right? If thou be for his profit, he will use thee. But if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee. It's not that he cares. You just, if he's still got a bunch of Jake working for him. He's got Jake in entertainment and shit, sports and whatever. Yeah, he use that so he can make tons of money because people like entertainment, and so he'll use you, but he'll also bankrupt you at the same time. He'll own all the rights to your music or whatever. You're not getting a fair deal. Like, yeah, these men are getting paid millions or whatever, and so it seems like it's good for them, right? Because they're poor, and getting paid millions from comparison to being poor is obviously a big jump up. But it's not a fair deal. Let's not joke about it, kid about it. It's not a fair deal. These Edomites, and specifically these small hats, right? They take a lot more of the cut than Jake does, and they have all the talent, right? Esau just has the infrastructure because he's rich. Because he's got power, he's got connections. That's it. And it's just not a balanced. It's not a balanced deal. So in reality, these Jake, as rich as they are, or are comparatively to us, that work regular jobs and shit, they're still being oppressed. They're still being oppressed. At the value of what they make, they're getting paid peanuts, right? And that's no different from, them man that exploit the man in Africa or in South America, where they're just working for peanuts while these big corporations are making dough. It's no different. It's not a fair cut. It's not a fair deal, because Esau can abuse that. He can abuse the fact that you're desperate because you're poor, right? And like I said, it's his thing to keep you poor, so he can continue to exploit you, right? And this is this abuse, you know. So again, if thou be for his profit, he will use thee. But if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee. If thou have anything, he will live with thee. Yea, he will make thee bear and will not be sorry for it, right? Because like I mentioned in the previous video, we always bring it out. Never trust an enemy. When you read through that, it speaks about the charmer, with the snake, right? Like a charmer should know that the snake's dangerous. So if a man's bitten by the snake, it's like, why are you gonna feel pity for him? Like, it was a snake. You shouldn't have been playing with it like that, but you thought you knew better, right? You thought, oh, he'll never bite me. I'm playing such a sweet tune, just dancing the way, and I'll get hypnotized and then bite your ass. All right? It was like, well, you fucking idiot. It was a snake. It's bad to happen eventually, right? So yeah, he might be, he might seem cool and he might be around you and that, but when the time comes, when the opportunity, presents itself, he'll bite, right? And he won't care. He won't feel sorry that he cleared you out. You know what I'm saying, right? It says, if he have need of thee, he will deceive thee. He will lie. Okay, Esau's a great liar. We've seen it. We've seen Trump, and he's just mad. He's just habitual liar. Just can't stop. The fucking was it? Man's got fucking verbal diarrhea, just lying. Everything that comes out of his mouth, just lying, right? But like I said, that's nothing new. That's what these devils do. All right. If you have need of thee, he will deceive thee and smile upon thee and put thee in hope. Right? It will tell you everything that you want to hear. He will speak thee fair and say, what wantest thou? He look like he's here to help, trying to help you out. When really he's just trying to help himself. He will shame thee by his meats until you have drawn thee dry twice or thrice. And at the last he will laugh thee to scorn afterwards. Right? And that's what I mean. These Edomites, man, they make fun of Jake. They look down upon us, man, and because we're destroyed people, we're destitute people, and like I say, he enjoys watching the suffering of others. That's what we just read back in Wisdom of Solomon. That is exactly the people that are in rulership over us, man. These Edomites, that's how they are. That's how they treat us. All right, that's how they treat the world, man. They got no respect for nothing, not the planet. Oh yeah, you got a whole bunch of people, championing the fucking global warming and going green and all that shit. They don't give a fuck about the planet. They're just looking for the next hustle to make money out of, man. Or we're gonna sell you a bunch of fucking electric cars and solar panels, wind farms and shit. That's all it is. It's really fucking, it's really outrageous, man. When you think about it, these mans don't give a fuck, but they try to make you care. They try to make you care. Whatever, man. Just so they can rob you blind. It's mad, right? It says, when he seeth thee, he will forsake thee and shake his head at thee. Beware that thou be not deceived and brought down in thy jollity. If thou be invited of a mighty man, withdraw thyself, and so much the more will he invite thee. Press thou not upon him, lest thou be put back. Stand not afar off, lest thou be forgotten. Right? So you got to be played careful when you're dealing with certain men of certain status and power. You can apply this even in your own job and stuff like that. You need to be careful. You don't want to, because you might benefit of being around, being near to somebody like that. Can help you out, in certain ways and whatever. But you don't want to be so close, man, that these men they just use you, abuse you basically until you have nothing, until you're no longer useful to them. All right. So this is what's going into here. It says affect affect not to be made equal unto him in talk, right? Because you're not on the same level at the end of the day. And he already knows this, but when you forget yourself, you're thinking, oh yeah, because we're cool, but you're still not on the same level. So don't think that you're equal to him, because he's not. He ain't thinking that he's equal to you. That's these elites. They don't think they're equal to everybody else, man, because they're such a different realm to everybody else. They look at the rest of the world as cattle, and peons, man. It says, and believe not his many words, for with much communication he will tempt thee, and smile upon thee who get out thy secrets. But cruelly he will lay up thy words, and will not spare thee spare to do thee hurt, and to put thee in prison. Observe and take good heed, for thou walkest in peril of thy overthrowing, when thou hearest these things, awake in thy sleep. Right, the dream's over. you know. There is more actually I want from this. Let's see. I'm gonna jump down a little bit though. I'm gonna jump down to verse 16. So I might just read through. Sorry, it's like you right. Verse 14. Love the Lord all thy life, and call upon him for thy salvation. Every beast loveth his like, and every man loveth his neighbor. All flesh consorteth according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like. So that's why we get these circles, right? Your friends circles and shit. Like they're usually people that are just like you, right? And so that's why we don't rub shoulders with millionaires, because we're not millionaires. You know what I'm saying? But men of that world, they'll rub shoulders with each other because that's the world they're in. They're in that sort of world. Say where these millionaires won't necessarily deal with these billionaires, because these billionaires are on the next fucking level. So they're in a even more exclusive club, right? So everyone cleaves to their like people that already like them, and that so that there's many facets to that. All right, but that's how it generally works. All right, it says what fellowship have the wolf with the lamb? So the sinner with the godly. What agreement is there with the hyena and the dog? And what peace between the rich and the poor? As the wild ass is the lion's prey in the wilderness, so the rich eat up the poor. All right, and I said that's the wicked mentality of these Edomites, man. They're just looking to eat, right? And they don't care who it is, who they're going to consume. Anybody they can use and they can exploit, they're going to do that. Right, but I say it's just severely unbalanced in their in what they do. All right. A rich man being to fall is held up by his friends, but a poor man being down is thrust away by his friends. When a rich man is fallen, he have many helpers. He speaketh things not to be spoken, and yet men justify him. The poor man slipped, and yet they rebuked him too. He spake wisely and could have no place. When a rich man speaketh, and every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he saith, they extol it to the clouds. But if a poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. Right? So they said they enjoy a different kind of level of living and respect in this world because they have money and wealth and power, whatever, right? People are more willing to listen to them, and we see it. These men put on a fucking suit, and apparently they become important. They earn some money, and apparently they become fucking experts in shit. It's like, it's weird. Right? Everyone wants to listen to what these men got to say, even though these men are not experts in shit, or whatever. They like to hear them because they're rich, and they want to feel part of that greatness. They want to rub off on them. They want to listen to the secrets of how they got it and all that kind of shit. Just because they got money. But what makes his wisdom or his words any more important than the poor man? It doesn't really. Just because he's got money, you assume a lot of things. You think, oh, he's better educated and he knows more stuff and this and that and about everything. Bill Gates, yeah, he's building fucking computers, but now he's a fucking a virus expert. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, everyone just listens to Bill Gates. Like, what? But anyway, all right. It says, riches are good unto him that have no sin. Right? But the problem is, most people that get money are sinners. I mean, we're all sinners, in reality, but these men are wicked in a different way, right? To be able to get the riches in this world, what did we read earlier? These are the wicked that prosper in the world, right? You really got to be doing something mad to really be getting money like that, to put yourself up there with these guys. All right. So riches are good unto him that have no sin, and poverty is evil in the mouth of the ungodly. The heart of a man changeth his countenance, whether it be good, whether it be for good or evil, and a merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance. A cheerful countenance is a token of a heart that is in prosperity, and the finding out of parables is a wearisome labor of the mind. All right, so that's just going through this this relationship or these actions that these devils take. Okay, being in the position that they're in right now, which is over the rest of everybody else, right? Because they're powerful, they're rich, and this and that, and they just look to exploit people, right? That's the world we live in. Okay, you can't tell me it's not true, right? They might try to, do all the PR to make it look like they're charitable and all this kind of bullshit. These are nice people, but in reality, they're not. Okay, they are here to dominate and to crush people, right? That's why the poor get poorer and the rich get richer, and that's just something that is evident to see. The poor are struggling more and more all the time. The rich are getting richer at the same time. And when it's told to you that you gotta tighten up your belt because things is tough, it's not the rich. The rich don't put their hand in their pocket to help the poor out. Instead, they're gonna make more profits this year because they put up your gas prices, because they put up the electric prices. They're gonna make more profit this year. Fuck the hard times. Ain't no hard times for us. We gotta make more profit. You're gonna suffer. These elites, and they don't suffer. They don't suffer, man. All right. This is Proverbs chapter 22, verse 16. He that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, right? And he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want. Eventually, the Most High is gonna pull the plug on their whole game, man. Right? Because I say these men are oppressing the poor to increase their own riches. And I said that shit's evident. It's Proverbs 2. Wait, hold on a sec. Yeah. I wanted to read up. Verse 7, right? Proverbs 22 and 7. The rich ruleth over the poor, right? And the borrower is servant to the lender. And that's the thing with Esau. He's looking at these, like everybody else, they're slaves to him. Right? That's how he looks at everybody. Because he's made everybody poor. And so if you ain't got your money up, okay, you're not here to be talking. You're meant to be fucking working and making us money. It's Micah chapter 6, verse 12. For the rich men thereof are full of violence. Right? So as I said, these men at the top are full of violence. I said that they're profiting at the war that's going on right now. Okay, so they're conducting wars, right? So for the rich men, they are full of violence, and the inhabitants they have spoken lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their mouth. Okay, the liars, right? Also that they can benefit and they can, get what they want at the cost of everybody else, right? Because there's people that are so poor they shouldn't be that poor, man. Especially like given the land they live on and stuff like that, there should be a whole lot of resources that they can farm and produce and all these different types of things. But Esau, like I say, he puts these nations in difficult situations, man. Right? Really brings their nations down, and they say the same thing can be said in his own nations, man. Like right now, he's taking all the jobs out the fucking market and giving it to AI. Well, what are these people supposed to do about jobs? I mean, we know what he's gonna do, but like, if you really cared about people, this is not how you'd go about it. If you cared about people's livelihoods, right? This is not how you'd go about it. But because we're being sold that, AI is so important, and if we don't do it, or we're gonna fall behind China, and China's gonna rule the world. Like, what? I mean, does it even matter? So like your time, if you're behind already, you know what I mean? I don't know. But this kingdom is not about people first. Definitely not. It's not even about the planet first. It's about the elites first. Right? That's why the earth is suffering. That's why people are suffering. But guess who's not suffering? The elites are not suffering. These freaking big ass corporations are not suffering. The earth is suffering. The people are suffering. But they're not. Never are. They're increasing riches in wealth. You know? And I'm just going to end it with this one. This is just another scripture I had here. James 2:6. But ye have despised the poor. They despise the poor, right? Do not rich men oppress you? Yeah, these elites oppress us, man. And we all think this is fucking normal. You know, but people are complaining because I said the standard of living for everybody is falling fast, man. And there's less and less people being able to make half decent money. Because like I said, they're just cutting jobs and replacing it with robots and shit. So all those good jobs that are making good money, it's not even there. And the few good jobs that there with good money, well, it's only there for a few, innit? So what happens with everybody else? You know, it's not that they care, so it doesn't really matter. They can go to war and go fight in Iran, in some fucking mountainous regions and get killed. As far as they're concerned, innit? Put them to use. You know, they want to reduce the population anyway, so there you go. So, like I said, these people are here just to abuse people, man, and use you for their own needs, for their own wants. Okay, they don't give a fuck about people. Okay, that's the whole lie. Right, but this is what happens when the devil's in rulership. Okay, these so-called white people, man. But anyway, I'm gonna end it there. Lord, this has been edifying, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Until next time, I say shalom.